Reaching on the yeah.
What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy RumboyzRobbie. I'm shocked that I was able to project my voice that loud with how my voice is kind of filling. But we're good. We're good. We're here. Did not broadcast last night because I do slightly feel myself kind of getting a little hoarse. Seasons changing and shit like that. It's cool. I just subbed a shit ton of sweet tea, not sweet tea, hot tea. My southern ass. Wow. Just chugged some hot tea. Got up really tea. I've been taking the warm shots of rum and lemon with some honey. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay. We're gonna get through this week. More importantly, Taco, how are you doing?
Oh man, we're hanging in here. I had a double ear infections, so shit was a bit wild. Right now, you're a little muffled, but I mean, it's good enough to make it work. I don't need full stereo sometimes, I got one speaker working.
Yeah, drink call syrup for sure. Robbie, happy Veterans Day, bro. Hey, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes, Taco basically did invent his own fucking time zone tonight because I was up and ready. I'm back here watching North Korea deflector documentaries. I've already looked over my show notes and shit. I'm ready. Let's get into it. The theme of tonight. Cheers to me. Cheers to you all, the Rum Boys and girls. What to do? The theme of tonight. Okay. This is going to be a fairly interesting show because I feel like that the theme from this past week, week 10, has just kind of been what it is. And I think that we just need to accept as we get ready to gear up for playoffs, as we get ready to gear up for a trade deadline, that when it comes to this season, it is what it is. This season had a lot of roles reversing, a lot of studs becoming duds, a lot of duds becoming studs. Very weird landscape throughout the NFL this year. We are going to get into your Week 11 waiver wire. I am going to preference that the waiver wire, like the last 3 fucking weeks, is buried. If you are in a trade deadline scenario, please throw out, whatever you're dealing with or whatever you're thinking about. For the most part, I am going to say this. You should be in a position by now, hopefully, to where, you know what? These are the guys that I have. This is the team that I have. We're going to move forward. We're going to conquer, and we're going to make playoffs with this roster, with this group of guys. We are now accepting fate.
And this is why, from the beginning, one of the things I keep harping is that bottom of your bench during those early weeks, you had to make sure that you would keep on adding these, high upside, but sitting back running backs. We had talked about the Woody Markses. Heck, we had even brought up guys like Trey Benson, who, in my opinion, now is back on the radar. You see him out there. Someone dropped him because he's been out for a long time. He's coming back. But like Robbie said, now it's about stashing and storing, not about picking up and playing. There's not very many people right now that you can just go out there, plug and play. Now it's more like stash and hide and play the anticipation game. If this calculation happens where this happens and that happens, this guy.
I'm going to go on record and I'm going to say there is you can try and look at data. This year has been one of those years where it has definitely been more so of the actual NFL having more parity to fantasy football. This year has been more of in plenty of years, it could easily be he's Justin Jefferson, so it's just going to, Justin Jefferson is going to do Justin Jefferson. You're not able to say that this year. You know, just because a player has a name value does not mean a damn thing this year. You know, so
unless he's CMC.
Was that?
Like I said, unless he's CMC, he's probably been our most consistent player this year. Very few.
Exactly. Like I said, it's CMC, is JT. It's very few and far between. Like DJ up and down. Saquon's been asked. Like, you know, you got top fucking scoring receivers. Sometimes you're just begging for them to at least give you fucking 6 points, please.
Yep. And then you got fucking Drake London on a fucking heater. Holy shit.
Let's go ahead. Let's get into tonight's show. Just want to preference things first with that. I feel like I need to fucking get that all off my chest. Just like the overall fantasy landscape. Like there's leagues that I'm going to make playoffs in, and I'm like, normally my attitude would be like, we're in the playoffs. It's going to be a disaster for everybody. Fuck it. I'm like, I see a lot of leagues where I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to one and done. I don't know if I'm going to survive the fucking next week because it's that unpredictable right now. Let's get into the injury report.
I have one squad that, you know, I lost players early, so I've been stacking late. My bench is pretty good, but one of the players that we're going to talk about right now, I just lost, and that shit is a little devastating because I don't know what's going to happen when they come back. So I think we're ready to start talking about the list because I got something to say about the first guy.
Yep, let's get into the injury report. First up, quarterback, Jackson Dart, concussion. He has taken some fucking hits. He has taken a lot of hits. This one has had some foreshadowing with the whole, you know, fines that came down, you know, for Scott and Dable respectfully, which we'll get into that whole situation later. This one hurts, but it's almost just like we're at that point in the season where it's like, do you kind of just wait maybe, you know, to like last couple games, let him get a last couple game contracts, but like for the most part play it safe. It's like, you know, while, you know, you're waiting on everyone else to kind of, you know, come back, you need, you know, like it's risky business. It's risky fucking business. You just got rid of your fucking head coach, so it's like you really put your franchise quarterback back out there to go get banged up and dinged up when it's probably about to be a whole fucking regime change. This one.
And not only that, like when you look at the play calling, he had the most design runs for any QB. He started in week 4. How the fuck is that possible? And we're 2 and like fucking 7. Like, what the fuck are we doing right now? You're basically putting him out on a silver platter because the other problem with him is
he had already been told up to 4 concussion this past weekend made number 4.
Wow, he technically never was officially having one until now, but he was evaluated for a couple, and I think that the way that they were using him, which from a fantasy football manager perspective, oh God, yes, it was everything that I was talking about. They were using him in the running game. He had 5 straight games of rushing touchdowns. He was fucking amazing.
I'll be honest. Knew that this was coming. You know, not like, you know, like the you know, say that when you play that style of play, like you mentioned, you know, the high percentage of run. Yes, there's going to be an increase for that probability to take place. Yep. And it is also a misuse of the quarterback. Like, it is also misuse of the quarterback situation. That's supposed to be your field general. You need to be protecting, especially when you know that you don't have a fucking offensive line in the first place.
And he doesn't protect himself. He puts himself in bad situations sometimes because he's trying to win the game or extend the play or make something spectacular happen on every play, you know, which, you know, if I'm in the playoffs, okay, fine. Like, this is a playoff game. We need every possession. But when we're squandering leads and not playing good, and then you're jeopardizing your, you know, potential franchise quarterback, you know, I think it's a recipe for a disaster. I think that's exactly why Dable was fired. Is once you saw that he had that concussion,
This
he
was
was
coming. This was coming for a long time. For
wait,
a
no,
long time.
listen here. When Dable lost that game versus Denver, they were gonna fire him, but cooler heads prevailed. When you have that game versus Chicago and he gets that concussion finally because you're doing so much RPO running with him as a main weapon, they were talking about all on the radio. You cannot allow that continue because Jackson Dart is the kind of kid that says, "All right, coach, you want me to go out there and do that shit?" Yeah, they need to save him from himself.
That
And
that
Dable
wasn't
was trying to save his job.
that wasn't the ultimate reason. In all honesty, when you just look at the overall situation as a whole, from the early prevailing concussion protocols and how that was even being treated, how the first one was even being treated in preseason, where it was obvious that there's some a little bit, and I'm gonna call it what it is there's favoritism there. You're any other young quarterback. Hey, you got dinged up. Get the fuck on the side. You're sitting out. Concussion protocol is in place for a fucking reason. You go to that blue tent. As the NFL culture, we have became accustomed to player X is in blue tent for concussion evaluation. We became groomed. Okay, I'm not getting that player back in fantasy. I expect the NFL fully to investigate and probably hand out fines. And I think that's a bigger piece as to possibly why Dable was out. There's obviously things from previous teams.
See, I think
he had been given many chances.
If he wasn't jeopardizing the health of Dart, he would have lasted to the end of the year and get fired. The Giants never fire anyone mid-season. I think this is the second coach ever that they fired mid-season. If it wasn't for the fact that Jackson Dart was putting himself in injury, they would have waited to the end of the year.
After back-to-back years of
Robbie, they were going to fire him regardless, yes. But firing him mid-season was simply because of the mismanagement of Jackson Dart's health. They would have let him finish it. Because why would you not let him finish out? It's a waste of money. Unless you're worried that he's going to damage your best asset.
If you're in the NFC East, and this goes for any team, except Dallas because Jerry loves drama. But if you're pretty much any team in the East, you're pulling the fucking plug. You're like, no, I can't deal with this. I can't go through with this. It's the same thing that we did with Rivera. Hey, you know what? We did it. All right. You know what? You got to get the fuck out.
You guys waited till almost the last game of the season. There's one game left in the season when you did it.
Again, but eventually you reach a point where you know what. You guys had already been saying for years. You guys have been saying for years that you were going to do it.
No one's saying no to that, but they would have let him finish if he wasn't jeopardizing his health. I'm telling you, I've heard all the radio here. We got inside sources that are leaking. It's Jackson Dart's health. If you have your franchise quarterback that's popping off,
that's a big piece. I'm not going to disagree with that. But
how about this now? How about this? From a fantasy perspective, let's get to the more important part. I don't know if you can count on Jackson Dart for the rest of the year. I don't know if he necessarily comes back. He's definitely not coming back in the short term. In the long term, you don't know what kind of quarterback you can get because they are going to try and I think reel him in.
Given what I just mentioned about, there's probably going to be fines for how the previous concussions got handled before this one. It's going to be in their best interest from a legality standpoint to maybe wait until this blows over, wait to see if fines come down, because the NFL is going to do an investigation. They probably won't do it till the end of the season, so they'll probably wait, start them last couple of games. Hey, go out there, get some game checks. Let's see how this thing can look, with the interim head coach. Give him a shot. All righty, now get the fuck off the field, and let's go rebuild for next year. That's what's going to happen with that. Devontae Adams out with an oblique. Does not sound serious. If things were not out of hand, probably would have came back last week. Garrett Wilson with a knee. He's not coming back. He's not coming back. I'm telling you that now. Dalton Kincaid, hamstring. That was a serious blow to Buffalo. That one is a huge blow to Buffalo because they're already having a tough time with the wide receiver game and kind of getting things moving vertical downfield already. So being out a weapon in the passing game not good. Van Knight with an ankle that kind of less muddles up the Arizona backfield a little bit, and Rodney Gadsden with a knee, huge gash to the Chargers offense and to fantasy managers everywhere. Frizz, I would probably go Monangai. I would probably go Monangai or Parker Washington. Those are the ones that I am favoring out of those.
Bill is too unstable.
Yeah, that all of those options. Out of all those options, you just have to play upside, and those are the two that give you that. For bye weeks, Jonathan Taylor is not going to be able to save you this week. JT managers, the whole Colts. All right, you're missing all the Colts. Yep, you're missing all of your Colts. So that's going. If your fantasy roster is heavily constructed with Indiana players, you might be fucked. But for the most part, you should be able to navigate this. I would think that I would hope if you're in a playoff scenario, you have a back that you could at least slide in for the week that you're missing, JT. I would hope that you've watched the channel enough to where you probably have already added like a Troy Franklin or someone where you could just throw in as a bye week fill-in for Michael Pittman. If you're missing Tyler Warren, who knows? Maybe you've already been stashing Harold Fannin like we've been asking you to, or maybe you've already, you've had some of the other guys that we mentioned, and AJ Barner, or something or the other. Saints are going to be on a bye. No one is missing any of the Saints except for Juwan Johnson. We are all going to be missing Juwan Johnson.
Whoa, we are not here for the Chris Olave slander. Chris Olave is kicking motherfucking ass.
You're missing Chris Olave. Outside those two players, you're nothing is affecting fantasy lineups. Getting into the waiver wire additions this
You're missing playing the defense against the Saints.
Wow. Getting into the waiver wire this week. So quarterbacks is going to be a little wishy-washy. Okay. I am understanding if you're maybe not wanting to get any of these guys. You need to be making sure though that whoever you are going to be starting is absolutely going to, without a shadow of a doubt, go out there and do some shit for you. This is a week where, because you pretty much do have mostly everyone, you don't have like a Daniel Jones, but pretty much, you have like mostly, everyone in the NFL out there. I don't want you to get overloaded with, oh, well, like I have Bo Nix. Do I necessarily need to, go out there and start them? If you could go out there and you probably play Sam Darnold, who, might get you a little bit more, that little bit extra more. This is a season where we can't really, splitting hairs this season is a matter of win and loss. This isn't like last year where it's like, oh, well, I may not miss that. No, you need every fucking point that you can get this season. So I say that to make sure I'm prefacing this week. Let's make sure we're paying attention to our matchups, and if it may not be the sexiest thing to throw out there, but if they're going to go out there and they're performing better, go out there and play them. Diving into the waiver wire, JJ McCarthy, 48% available, 48% rostered in your league. So you got like a dark chance to throw in hell of being able to grab McCarthy. That is a divisional matchup. It is against the Bears. Bears allow opponents to score. The Bears allow opponents to score. So, I mean,
I said, I just don't know how much I trust JJ. He has an interception problem right now. And while He does have some upside. I think there's some other names on here that are more appealing.
Again, it's going to be a process. It's going to be a process with JJ. I'm not starting him in any
Nope.
league. But again, so waiver wire. Fuck are y'all expecting? There's Aaron Rodgers, 35%. Look, it's not great. It's not good. He hasn't really been, one of the higher scoring fantasy managers. I want to say, here, let me just double check. The last couple of weeks, it has been pretty mean. The last time that he had a really big fantasy outing, over 30 points, was against Cincinnati. You're hoping that he can repeat that again. This should be utilized as a get-right game, I feel like. Granted, it's an in-division game. But this should be utilized for a get-right game for Rodgers, being that defense is ass. So, anyone, I don't care if they're 40 years old, should be able to throw against the Cincinnati Bengals. Your little nephew who plays in Pop Warner could probably throw against the fucking Cincinnati Bengals defense. So just want to kind of throw that out there. And then finally there's Jacoby Brissett. Here's my fear with the Jacoby Brissett.
That's the one.
Jacoby Brissett is one of those quarterbacks. I've been on this roller coaster before. I've been on this roller coaster more times than I'd want to fucking admit. Okay, even since back when this man's been in a New England jersey. I don't know if this late in the season I want to be riding the Jacoby Brissett train. Because when it crashes and when it fucking gets bad, it gets bad. Late season Brissett does tend to eventually show up. San Fran is actually hanging in there playing like some dogs. Don't know if I really want to put Brissett up against San Fran. Then he has Jacksonville, then Tampa, then the Rams. Don't know if I want any fucking pieces of that.
For my guy Jacoby, in his last 4 games that he started versus Indiana, 320 pass yards, 2 passing TDs, an interception, and 3 rushes for 19 yards. Versus Green Bay, 279 passing yards, 2 TDs, 6 rushes for 26 yards. Versus Dallas, 261 for 2 TDs.
You just
rushing attempts.
Don't bring up Dallas. Don't bring up Dallas in this argument. Do not bring up Dallas.
And a rushing. I'm just talking about his last 4 games. And then in the last game, 258, 2 TDs, 4 rushes. But it was Indiana, Green Bay, by Dallas, Seattle. And versus Seattle, he had 4 rushes for 31 yards. What we see is a consistent pattern of 3 to 6 rushes a game. That seems like a solid floor that you're getting at him. You're getting potential goal line scores or red zone scores with him rushing it. Passing wise, he has hit at least 250 yards in each of his games.
The only positive, there's one positive.
In each game.
There's one positive is that San Fran does allow quarterbacks. They allow the 9th most points. Outside of that,
let me finish.
Outside of that, this is 2025 NFL. You can sit here. We have done this. I've done this. You've done this. What did we just preface the beginning of the show with?
We've seen a Sam Darnold revival. Why can't this be the Jacoby breakout Brissett? Do you not see the chemistry that he has with Trey McBride?
Here's what want to happen.
Trey McBride is back.
Here's what I want to happen. Go ahead and attach yourselves to the Jacoby Brissett bandwagon along with Taco. And
Listen,
when that bitch crashes and fucking burns, do not come running back to Robbie.
Robbie, when you scraping the bottom of the barrel, you gotta take some risks, baby.
Hey,
We
how's
gonna
your Justin
chug
Fields
it and
take?
love it.
How's your Justin Fields take doing?
Hey, listen. We ride or die. I took a Jackson Dart take too, baby. Day one, I was like, get you Jackson Dart. And since he played, he was QB4. Now, again, when you're talking about some of these other quarterbacks,
pay attention to the landscape.
exactly.
Don't do
And if you look at it, Kyler Murray's out. Brissett is in. They're making a push. McBride and him have great chemistry. You're gonna add a potential another piece back to this team, a substantial piece, in my opinion, that we'll get into in a little bit. I think the cards are trending up, and I think I'm willing to risk it for the biscuit. And there's one bonus guy who's 56% rostered in Yahoo that you might be able to take a little sneak peek at, and that is that thing Purdy. He might be on that way back. You see him out there, boys, especially with as a Jackson Dart roster and seeing him on the waiver wire. I am going for Brissett. I am going for Purdy, and I am praying because Jordan Love. Oh, now you're talking about somebody that's inconsistent over there.
Yeah,
Jordan Love. I don't know what's going on. What happened?
You got Jackson Dart as your QB1?
Yeah, I told you I went all in for him. I ended up dropping Caleb. I ended up dropping.
You had no one else as a backup.
I originally went into the season with Dak and Caleb, and then before Dak went on his heater, I ended up dropping him for Dart, and then he went on his heater. I mean, Dart was QB4 from the time he started. I also have a stacked ass team. You know, I got Drake London, CeeDee Lamb,
wow,
Tyler Warren.
Getting into the running backs. So the running back situation, I kind of alluded to this earlier with the injury report. Okay. Of course, the Cardinals having lost Bam Knight, it does make way for. First, let me just lead with Trey Benson's probably going to be coming back, and that should kind of unmuddle a lot of the waters. It's hopefully not enough yet, though. We don't have enough evidence to justify that DeRicardo or Carter will not still be involved in some shape, form, or fashion. So with that being said and stated, yes, if you can, obviously go and get Trey Benson. I feel like they're going to try and go back to their default, go back to their normal pecking order of things. It's just kind of, that's a natural order of the NFL. Oh, the guy that we're automatically paying just a little bit more to, we're going to go ahead and we're going to try and get our investment out of. That's just the way the world works.
Going into the season, he was someone that they were very high on. He was splitting carries with Connor. If it wasn't for the surgery, he would have been playing. Now the question is he back this week? Is he back next week? But I agree, Robbie. We're hoping that situation kind of unmuddles, and you might be looking at a RB2 type potential with upside.
With that being said, I don't mind if you approach. I don't mind if you do grab Amari DiMercado. Let's say Benson's already gone in your league. The person that lost Benson, they've stashed him on IR for they were able to do it. It was equitable for them to do so, right? For whatever reason. I don't mind you going to get DiMercado. I want to make sure that we are prefacing what the range of outcomes could be. It is still 2025 NFL. And this season has been weird as shit.
I'm crashing out for Benson, baby.
But that's he's 60%. So that's why I'm like, if you can, because
let's put it like
broader public right now is probably not going to be able to get him.
That window is shrinking each week as he gets closer to playing. Next week, it's going to be less, and the week after, it's going to be less because, like Robbie said, all the trend lines put him to having a volume workload, which is fucking hard to find. And this is when we say about stash and dash, like put him on the bench, let it
Real
rock for a
time,
couple weeks, and then let him play.
real time is 64%.
Yeah,
So
it's
there's
climbing.
the broader public's not going to probably be able to get him.
Agreed.
So yeah, I just wanna kind of make sure like I do preference that. Even with Vincent coming back, I don't mind if you already have Vincent, I don't mind you going out there and throwing out a claim for DiMarcado, especially as we're getting into the playoffs. I would rather you be safe than sorry. That's just the way that this season has worked out.
But buyer beware. Don't be dropping someone that has long-term potential for a guy that's only
No,
viable for
no,
2 weeks.
no. You're
No.
always trimming fat. You're always trimming fat. You're never dropping
Yep.
anything. Tajay Spears,
Interesting.
like the only one that's doing anything, but like we're thinking
That shit.
9 times out of 10, Tajay Spears is not going to be on your playoff roster. I am speaking towards a very specific demographic that is probably like, I need running backs. I'm like in 7th, I'm in 8th, and I need to fight to get into 6th. What do I do? Type of. I'm talking to that person. Huh?
I said, and me in my league where I'm third, because of the bye and because of Hampton, Benson, and Ricky Pearsall being out. Next man up is Tajay Spears in that flex.
How the fuck did you manage? How did you do that?
Well, I had Alec Pierce, who I started last week. I just traded 3 guys though. I traded Goddard, Jalen Warren, and Keenan Allen for Bijan. So my depth kind of took a hit because I'm expecting Hampton, Benson, and Ricky Pearsall to come back. Third place,
God
baby.
damn.
Yeah, I got Drake London, CD Lamb, and Bijan Robinson now. I just lost Jackson Dart, but I'm stacked, bro. I want Ricky Pearsall back so bad.
I'm gonna throw out a theory right now, and it's probably gonna shock a lot of fucking people. When we all get into the playoffs, remove yourself out of it because you're easily going to be like, oh, my roster is what I'm about to explain. You're gonna be like, well, my roster fits that description. Because like everyone thinks that like when they watch like a fantasy football YouTube show, they're like, yeah, he's talking about me. When you get in the playoffs, look at everyone's roster, cover yours up. Look at everyone else's. I'm guaranteeing this. The most balanced roster in your league is probably going to be what's going to win it. It's not going to be the person that you're like, man, fuck, Tony from accounting has like, Jonathan Taylor, and JSN, and like, trying to think like another like crazy, and like fucking Tyler Warren, like I'm fucked. Like I have a feeling like that person probably like had like all that firepower. Some fuck shit's gonna happen with the way this season's played out. You know how we make jokes where it's like, oh, the books know that I just put in this parlay for this player, so like, oh, it's now not. Vegas is gonna be like, okay, so who has all the like what are the most commonalities? And then it's gonna be like some crazy shit. Thoughts on picking up Jaden Higgins, Wicks, or Luther Burden? I'm really loving the Jaden Higgins call out. Wicks, the problem is that Green Bay's not scoring enough right now to justify.
Love is almost unstartable right now.
Luther Burden could definitely be a thing. I'm really loving Burden. I'm also loving the fact that Ben Johnson had Chicago cooking, baby. So I probably would go Burden, Higgins, Wicks. Just stay far away. I'm sorry.
I don't know. I think I'm more towards Higgins because I do think that the Bears offense is a little more convoluted and they had a ridiculous fourth quarter versus the Giants, which again, I think put them in that situation for some of these guys to go off. Whereas I think Higgins is playing himself into like almost a wide receiver 2 type role.
I don't trust Houston's offensive line to get CJ enough time to be able to distribute the ball more times than not. So when I'm thinking like long term, like I'd rather give me the boom bust options of a Ben Johnson offense over the ladder of CJ Stroud playing from off his back, staring up at the sun. Fucking man just needs advisor. Why? Because he's not to block the sun from glaring in his eyes, from fucking having him not like stare up at the sun. Freaking 4 quarters of football.
The good thing that we have for Higgins though is that he has Tennessee next, Buffalo, Indiana, Kansas, Arizona, Las Vegas, Chargers. It's a pretty favorable schedule. A lot of green on his schedule, so there's a slight opportunity.
I don't trust CJ Stroud to have room to even take a breath in that offense.
I don't really trust Caleb Williams either. He fucking goes
I
off the reservation.
I trust Johnson more. Moving on through the running backs, I want to throw this out there for the Kyron managers. Blake Corum. You need your handcuff when you get into the playoffs. Okay? Sometimes the handcuff of my enemy is the best handcuff. When you are in a situation where there is no trade deadline, waiver wire is already barren as it is here in week 7, you need to already have yourself prepared. And I prefer for my Kyron Williams managers out there to already be prepared. Because when you lose a high-octane piece like that, should something like that happen, you're going to be kicking yourself in the nuts that you didn't have Corum already loaded up, ready to go, to where you could just pivot and be like, all right, next man up. Let's just survive this week and then move on to next week. Okay, I already know who I'm going to play. Remove the extra headache for yourself. Wide receivers. Tez Johnson, you guys can still grab. Okay, 30% or 32. I'm sorry, 32% rostered. Whenever I checked last night, I'm gonna throw out guy that Taco just threw out, and that is Alec Pierce, 40% available in your leagues while he is on bye. While he is on, this is a buy and stash. This is I have the room to perform a buy and stash. I'm going to do this. Is why you would do that. If you do not have the room this week, if it is going to compromise you, dropping someone that could actually be good for your roster or could influence someone else, that to be able to grab that and make their team that much better, don't do it. It's a luxury that you're trying to afford that you don't need to. But if you can, I'm really liking Alec Pierce, especially down the stretch here.
And they're using him a lot as a deep target. So if you're in leagues that do like bonuses for 40-yard touchdowns or that kind of stuff, he is a guy that I would be looking at adding. He's making a lot out of his targets. I think that there is, if you're talking about boom bust upside, I think he definitely has it, and he's trending in a very good direction. Some of the next games they have up is KC, Houston, Jacksonville, Seattle, San Francisco, Jacksonville again. The schedule is pretty nice, so I definitely don't mind taking a shot on Alec Pierce. Especially also with Jonathan Taylor commanding so much attention in the box, it gives him a little bit more room to, explode the top off that defense.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's been plenty of times where Alec Pierce as just a throw in has saved my ass plenty of times. Not just this year, past years as well.
Last week, baby, let's fucking go.
Troy Franklin, I'm going to keep championing him. It's now looking like last night it was he was sitting around about 48%. That has shot the hell up. I'm checking live right now, 59%. So if you still can go and get him, at this point in the season, one of the things that I kind of like doing, one of the stuff I always find myself doing is trying to see if there's guys that are in that top echelon, that top 24S range that I can grab. for me, I have had Troy Franklin for a couple of weeks now because I told you so. So like I've already been cashing in on the fruits of having Troy Franklin, and being able to go out there, and it's been worked out for me where the weeks I've started him have been his boom weeks. Week 9 against Houston, I didn't have him in the lineup, but being able to go out there, for the most part, hell, even that week 9 against Houston, I still would have probably been like, fuck it, I think I had just had had QJ. I had QJ. I think that like I put out there. But no, like I say this just to state, this is officially probably the wide receiver one in Denver now. We are seeing Troy Franklin emerge and take over. This is what they drafted him for. This is what they drafted him for. Sutton is getting that double coverage, and it's allowing Franklin to really pop off. So go and get yourself Franklin.
Let's also, I mean, in his last 4 games, he has started to really emerge again. 12, 26, 8, and 15.
That whole offense.
That offense, though, is not looking great. I'm a little bit worried, but here's the beautiful thing about Troy Franklin. While they have KC this week, which you're hoping to, be a game where they're going to need to score, then he goes on by. Then you have Washington, Las Vegas, Green Bay, Jacksonville, KC again. The schedule does look pretty nice for them.
They get the benefit of a long week. Like, they didn't look great against Vegas, obviously, but I think that was more attributable to it was a very physical game against Houston the previous week before you were on a short week. I fucking hate Thursday night football. So I think like that had like a lot to do with it, and less about like, like how like it's both teams at that night. God, that was ugly. I don't want to think about it.
I feel a Sutton
huh?
I said I feel a Sutton bounce back game coming this week though versus KC.
I mean, they're gonna need him. They're gonna need everyone to have a big game. Keon Coleman, I
think the Kincaid injury makes him a little bit more viable.
And that's really what it is. That's the only thing, and that's the only reason why I would do it.
That's a fucking prayer and a hope.
I'm not liking the way that offense is starting to look here, like down the stretch. It's looking very stagnant. It's starting to look very stale. It's looking almost figured out.
I think there's two things that happened. One, we heard at the trade deadline they were trying to go all in for Waddle.
Hang on, hey, look at the show sheet
for that offense. I think that they also were saying that. I think what someone said, the window for the Bills is closing right in front of our faces. Because at the same time that the Bills are looking like they got figured out, I think the Pats are starting to figure it out. And that makes things very interesting.
Average Super Bowl window is only 2 to 3 years. A good Super Bowl window is 5. A good is 5.
Dynasty status these days.
So I mean, yeah, it makes sense. They have to. We'll talk about it later. I mean, but they have to get a premier receiver. But I mean, Coleman could definitely be a thing this week. Parker Washington. So we know that it's a season ender for Travis Hunter with the surgery. We know they brought in Jacoby Myers. I'm still in full belief that it's going to be Parker Washington. That's who Trevor's going to have who has had the most rapport with. It'll be a minute before we start seeing Jacoby kind of like really maybe like command a heavier set of the targets. It just takes time to develop that with the quarterback, to develop that chemistry. Takes a couple of weeks. So for right now, I'm still saying Parker Washington, all wheels up on PW. And then Tyler Lockett, we're just throwing it out there for the sake of fucking throwing it out there. Don't fucking pick up Tyler Lockett. I mean, look, I'll say this. They are trying to force the ball to Tyler Lockett in Vegas. it's not working and it's not gonna work because there's so many other fucking things wrong. But there's targets. Like if that's the kind of type of shit you like. QJ or Judy this week, QJ. And then Darius Slayton to cap off the wide receivers, just because he's like the vet there, and they're gonna have to utilize him, especially with a backup quarterback. It's not fancy, it's not pretty, but it might do something, you know. And then for tight ends, Juwan Johnson, 45%. We've been championing Juwan Johnson. If you haven't grabbed him at this point, I don't get how he's still available for some people in some leagues. It's just wild to me. It's like, dude's top 12. He's a top 12 tight end. He's a top 10 tight end. What the fuck are we doing? K. Dotton at 38%. Dalton Schultz at 26%. You know, Beckett, Thornton, Dick Juice. I'm dead. I'm dead. Yeah, you didn't. Yeah, not getting any Raiders. That's the waiver wire. Anything that you have to wrap up those last couple of names before we get into some topics?
I think the Theo Johnson dream might be dead. So if you're holding on to him and praying, I think that might be a little bit much these days. You know, tight end is going to be an interesting thing. I'm personally missing Warren, so I am risking it for the biscuit. I'm starting Musgrave. I know that the Packers looked bad, but they are getting the Giants this week, who are soft. And to quote the famous Bart Scott, they can't stop a nosebleed. So, you know what? Let's fucking rock and roll, baby. If this ain't a bounce back for Jordan Love, though, holy fucking shit, we got problems in fucking Wisconsin.
Look, Jordan Love has been very underwhelming. Very underwhelming.
Fuck, bro.
We went from like beginning of the season, and everybody was like, Packers Super Bowl, like, and they are not putting up the points of a Super Bowl team. They're squeaking out wins.
I think it was like this is like year. He's like 27, and when he was 27,
Green Bay
won his Super Bowl
golden year. Yeah, this is supposed to be his golden year. Yeah.
And then let's not forget Parsons doesn't look his part either. So I don't know what the fuck is going on.
Let's go ahead and get into things all NFL fans must accept Week 10 edition. We're gonna kind of like go through these one by one. You brought up, you kind of alluded to it earlier about Jalen Waddle. The Bills should have traded for Chris Olave. There was a rumor package that was floated out there that was rejected. I know that there was also a rumor package for Waddle that was floated out there that was rejected. To my knowledge, like, bro, how the fuck? How could you, if you're New Orleans, or I understand Miami with the interdivision not wanting to, kind of even flirt with the general concept of that. Not trying to be the whole, like, Cleveland Browns, so to speak, with the whole interdivision thing. But I mean, come on, Olave, like, I'm enamored. I'm floored, bro. I'm honestly floored. What are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, if we're gonna be honest here, I've been an Olave truther for this whole season. Currently, he's wide receiver 9 on the season. We know he's a concussion away from not playing again for the rest of the season with his history. But let's be honest. When you get a young quarterback, they need weapons. We've seen time after time that they struggle because they don't have anything. I think once you got a 3rd-round pick for Shaheed, it sets you up in a position where you don't necessarily need to trade Olave because you can add to what you have with your young quarterback because their offensive line isn't terrible. Their defense isn't terrible. And Olave, as much as people want to hate on him, he is a playmaker. he's able to make plays like many other wide receivers aren't. We talk about alphas and guys that can handle double or single coverage or whatever the defense throws at you, and he is one of those guys. And at the end of the day, this is still a business. You still have to get fans in the stands and sell jerseys, and he's been a guy that's been there for a long time. This is New Orleans. It's not a space that you get a ton of top-tier free agents. So I don't see a problem with them holding on to Olave, knowing that next year they're going to have a rookie quarterback, and more than likely you probably draft another receiver and sign a receiver to bolster your team and let Olave lead that wide receiver corps. So I think this is more towards, hey, we're drafting a QB. Let's make sure that he has weapons necessary to be successful. Whereas Shaheed, I don't see him being a long-term successful piece because he's more of a, blow the top off the defense kind of guy.
If I was New Orleans, I would have shipped Olave out so fucking quick, given the concussion history. And I would have been like, now you invest in that problem. You give me the couple of picks so that I can now take on this kind of problem.
Like, will you get something that's even close to his top end talent? No, I don't think so.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you are.
At the end of the first round,
the way the Saints are going at this fucking point, with the way the Saints are going at this point, they could probably get Jeremiah Smith. Like, who's a way better wide receiver than Chris Olave, who might come into the NFL next year and easily be the best wide receiver in the fucking NFL.
Everybody was like, "Oh, Marvin Harrison Jr. is such a better wide receiver," and then look at him; he doesn't play right. Some of these kids are not transitioning right.
Kyler Murray. Yes, Kyler Murray and fucking Danzig as a goddamn offensive
coordinator. Tyler Shuck. Tyler Shuck. For God's sakes, he's doing it with worse quarterbacks than Kyler Murray. Chris Olave is doing it with worse quarterbacks than Kyler Murray.
Chris Olave is the only fucking target.
And look at him go. Why would you get rid of that? When I have a rookie quarterback, this is what I want him to have.
Because you need to rebuild.
Yes, and he is part of the rebuild.
You also got to get out of the financial calamity of what is the New Orleans Saints. Go look at their books. Go to overthecap.com right now. Go to overthecap.com right now and look at their books.
Listen, man. I would cut a lot of players before I cut him because, again, his
potential are under the water.
He's playing.
They aren't even going to be able to They aren't even going to be able to pay that man.
They'll figure it out. Chris Olave is not. He is not. Again, you're hoping that a kid comes in and becomes Chris Olave. Why would you trade Chris Olave then?
No. Why would I? Yeah. I'm hoping
Chris Olave has been consistently
fucking gets their head
good receiver. The only problem is concussion.
You're insane. No, I don't want. No.
The only problem you have with Chris Olave is concussions, not his talent, not at all.
We're gonna sit back and look at Chris Olave when it's all said and done, and we're gonna be like, that was a really nice one season.
One season? Come on now. Chris Olave is a beast. Chris Olave is a beast.
Chris Olave is a beast, fucking healthy.
And
Chris Olave would be a beast anywhere else but New Orleans. New Orleans is a detriment.
And my point is the juice isn't worth the squeeze. What you're getting isn't worth trading him for because of the upside with the young quarterback.
Yes. He does have 2 1K seasons. He does have 2 1K seasons. I would take Chris Olave over BTJ. I would take Chris Olave over BTJ. I think a lot of that also has to do with the fact that BTJ was thrown a lot of fucking hospital pass situations that made him very fucking scared to have to go across the middle. So I think that there's also that too. The Bears are an NFC dark horse. Yes. We said that at the beginning of the season. Jonathan Taylor should be the favorite for MVP.
Going to be hard to say no on that.
I think that the way that the properly phrase that is that it goes into the argument of do we make a separate award? I can't say MVP because when it's all voted and when it's all said and done, it's not going to be a running back. So I think that's what
I don't
makes
know
it
about
hard.
that.
I agree. Like fantasy football MVP for damn sure.
But
Or
Robbie, this year, let's look at this also. The Bills, the Ravens, and the Chiefs are all floundering, while the Colts are being super successful.
And I think that's the only
They could
pathway.
end one of the top two
That's the
records.
only
Yep.
pathway to where JT could get it. But other than that,
If
it's
they end up with the best record and he wins the rushing triple crown, I don't think there's no way he doesn't get that, because none of these quarterbacks is established. Like, they've all been solid, but their record to their teams isn't good enough to compete with what the Colts did.
I could see the NFL still finding a way to give it to a quarterback just because it's the
Possibly.
NFL.
But
Like,
then who would you give it to?
I could see posturing. I could definitely see posturing.
Who would you give it to then? Like, if
who
it's
I
not
would give
him,
it to? Me personally, I'd be like, yo, JT. But I mean, I could see the NFL being like, Baker Mayfield, come on down. Like, Sam Darnold, come on. I could see them being like, oh, it's going to be whatever quarterback has put up like the best stats. Tez Taliban. I would probably say Sutton over Olave.
It's really going to come down to what these final records look like, because you have a lot of teams that are at this 8-2, 7-2 record. You got the Seahawks, the Rams, the Eagles all at 7-2. You have the Patriots and the Broncos, as well as the Colts, all at 8-2. So this will be interesting to see how these final games bear out, because this is where the MVP case gets made. Because I mean, there is a world I think that Drake May could play himself into that conversation as well if they end up with the best record. Balls out
I
in the season.
that is, and I could see the NFL doing that, and I could see the NFL going on like a whole, irregardless of like what turnout happens for like New England and like postseason. I can see the NFL being like, oh, it's now the second coming of New England, going on like this whole like marketing New England like propaganda campaign. Like I so see that. So like I see them. No, I'm so serious. Like I see the NFL being like, who's our next like quarterback? Who are we gonna like crowd for? Who are we gonna kind of like anoint?
The only thing is, I don't know if the NFL fans want to see a revival of the Pats dynasty, because fuck Boston. You know what I mean?
But the NFL is gonna give us what the NFL wants to give us. Like at the end of the day,
I hope they want to give us a Sam Darnold.
Don't get me wrong. I think that it would be historic, and it would put the league in a really good place to make Jonathan Taylor.
Like they said, in the first half you make a name, in the second half you take the game. So the question is, who's going to go and take that trophy?
Wow. Mike Vrabel will be coach of the year. I agree at this point. At this point, I don't think that there's really
I think the Seattle coach also is playing himself into that possibility. Yeah, because let's face it, no one thought that Seattle would be like, I thought that Seattle would be good. We were talking about on that preview show, because I do think that they have a solid team, but it's a solid team. It's not like JSN has become a transcendent superstar, but Sam Darnold is was a Jag that they kind of like took around. They're back to saying, hey, dude, here's your potential.
While I don't disagree, let me see what the odds are right now. 1 second.
And I don't know how you can't take the Colts coach also as another dark horse candidate, with what they're doing. Again, this is a really tight top of the league. We have about 6 teams that are rolling in the same record-ish.
No, it's not Shane Waldron. I don't know why the fuck I said Shane Waldron. I think Shane used to be there. Let's see here. They don't have. Oh wait, no, they do. Never mind. I'm sorry. So Vrabel leads. You have Steichen right behind. So Indy, Mike McDonald in third. I guess you could say Ben Johnson and McVay are tied. I don't know how you make the case for I guess you make the case for Ben because Caleb does look a little bit better now. But I mean, it's going to become it's going to come down to those three. I feel like at this juncture, Vrabel, Steichen, McDonald. I feel like it's going to be Vrabel just because of how heavy that Boston public like it's heavily invested.
I think it's also because when you look at that team, you expect the Bills to win that division. And if you come out and you dethrone the Bills, who were one of your top 3 Super Bowl picks out of the AFC, I think that does go a long way to making his case for being that guy.
And then I agree with what Tree just said. The narrative, because now you get to coach player comes back to be coach, gets team to playoffs, gets everyone bought in. The Patriot way is still so. I think it kind of goes back to what we just talked about earlier. Is that whole narrative that I think that the NFL is going to eventually try and infeed us. Because I feel like that the NFL has a way of always taking teams' histories and then trying to link it back to present day. It's all the whole lore of everything. Travion Henderson has arrived.
Oh, my boy. I had him and Alec Pierce in my team this weekend, both starting.
So here's my thing. I want to say that there's no way.
Oh, there's a way. They're gonna fuck that shit up, bro.
I want to say that there's no way that Vrabel doesn't look at what he just did against Tampa.
It doesn't matter.
And hear me out.
He's gonna be RB3, bro. Yo, my favorite thing is to start the game. You get an update. They're gonna use Henderson more. First 5 carries. The undrafted fucking running back. I was like, what the fuck is this?
I want to sit here and be like, yeah, I'm all bought into the hype now. The hype train the hype never realistically left the station. It was just please give him an opportunity, please give him an opportunity, please give him an opportunity. So it's less about that. I feel like it is more
And you know what sucks even more is that
I don't want to go on air and be like, yes, he's arrived, and then get burned. That's what I think it is.
You know what I think sucks even more is that what we saw from Ramondre Stevenson was pedestrian. Between the fumbles and his yards per carry and everything, it's very pedestrian. But he was tucking in those touchdowns, and he was playing at the top of the chart. And the question that we all have is, what does this look like when he comes back? How does Vrabel see the situation? Because I'm assuming last week a lot of us thought that was going to be his game. And while it was his game, it didn't happen until everyone was out. So it's is that the kind of situation that we need again where, hey, all the other backs aren't going to play, so now you can finally play Henderson? Because otherwise the coach is going to say, na boo-boo, because that's what it feels like.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, I don't want to. I can't in good conscience be like, yeah, So that's where I'm at on Travion Henderson. I could easily see that. Just be like, that was one of those flash of the pan weeks. I could easily see Vrabel being like, now sit your ass down. It's just
it might not
even Vrabel's so old school. He's so old school is the thing.
I hope that Vrabel sees him as a piece you need for the playoffs, and he starts to integrate him more into the offense.
Exactly. This one,
but with the short week, it's really crazy because the other 2 guys were banged up. They're all kind of banged up now, but we don't fucking know what's going to happen come Thursday, which we're happy that it's a short week. Very happy.
They're playing the Jets. Henderson's going to go off. We'll be fine.
I pray. Your lips are my teeth.
This one is interesting because it's seeming like one, the needle's getting moved further and further. Two, Cleveland media and Cleveland radio is even starting to like question the inner workings of shit. Shador will be named QB1 by December.
Probably not.
Probably not. I think they're tampering. I think that they're tampering.
I think that the league really fucking doesn't like this kid.
I don't think no. At this point, I think this is I think the league has moved on past it. I think this is a in-house thing. When your own fans who have been blind and have turned a blind eye to everything that you've ever done for so long, but are now at the point of questioning and holding you accountable. When your local radio personalities are like revolting, you're like, okay, like what the fuck is like going on? When you have the coach kind of pretty much sitting there laughing in media's face, like, you know, it's starting to look like, yeah, no, they're actually that inside in-house. It's starting to when you think about the trade, you know, across to Cincinnati, like, no, this looks like on multiple fronts, not just with his career, not just with Shador. This looks like on multiple fronts. You're tampering.
I wouldn't necessarily say tampering. I think it's more about ego from the coach. I mean, not from the coach, from the GM and the coach, because you drafted Gabriel first. We're gonna give him a real shot, but Gabriel doesn't look great at all.
I think that they have gotten themselves into a repetitive culture of mediocrity, and it has become a practice to where I don't think that they're actually trying to get themselves out of it. I think that they now realize, oh shit, it doesn't fucking matter who I put at QB as long as I'm making money. Oh wait, if we now actually start, you know, because let's face it, if Cleveland, there's this weird power dynamic of both money and power that I think that Cleveland is dealing with here with this situation.
Yeah, because the other problem that you have
is you now have to admit, if he goes out there and he's successful, you now have to fucking admit that everything that you've been doing for the last couple of years has been wrong, and now it does make it look deliberately wrong, and it makes it look fucking worse. And
I wouldn't even say last couple of years, but from the draft, that you took this guy over that guy when he's clearly better. And then two, when you look at it, you got Massage Parlor Watson in the background with that big ass contract. Where do you want to
activity goes all the way back to even Baker. This type of activity,
I agree. That's ownership. That's ownership.
I think that they're self-tampering.
But let's look at it like this: for your fan base, if you have a guy like Shador comes in, gives you a little hope, next thing you know, now you have a competition with Watson, which I don't think they want. I think they want to kind of like be able to like let Watson roll back into that spot and not have to have the fans saying, but Shador didn't look half bad. Let's get him some weapons and see what he could do.
I'm straight up. I think it's just self-sabotage. It's just self-sabotage. That's it.
Yep.
No, they don't have a plan. Like Taco, you get going that's giving them too much credit.
I think Massage Parlor Watson is their number one concern. They think Freaky Ty is going to be able to come back and bring the reins in.
I don't think
they want to have a giddy party in the locker room, and Massage Watson is the leader.
And then finally, to close out, the Giants should hire John Gruden.
Well, I also want to say this. We don't know who else is in the process, and I am not the most coach-verse where they could have some really good candidates like we've seen taking over some of these teams that might be the guys. So we have to go through the process. But off of name value, off of what we've seen for him talking about Dart, I would be very interested in Chucky coming to coach this team. I love his demeanor. I like his personality. I think he would get along with Giants culture as they have that closet emails that I think that aligns on shockingly pretty well with the fan base. Being so serious.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. That's his biggest thing. That's the only reason why he's not coaching is because of the email.
So I have one better. I have one better for you. You bring up Lane Kiffin from Ole Miss.
I don't think
I'd back with his.
I would rather take Gruden than Kiffin because one, Kiffin, I've never seen him do it at the pro level. He's never delivered on the pro level.
Doesn't matter.
Two, yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Sean Tucker.
Yes,
it would be Sean Tucker for his.
Sean Tucker has been playing up in the last couple of games. He led the team in rushing last game, and we don't know what's going on with Bucky. But to me, there's also name value associated to Gruden, which from a media perspective in a media town, I think he does do very well in that aspect. Now, his personality could clash a little bit because he's a little aggressive, but I think that
he is very aggressive.
Him and Jackson Dart, because we all saw the videos in the offseason.
Yeah,
I think there's an affinity there that makes me very interested. And the Giants' job is a very interesting job for a good coach.
But here's what's different than that. That is content.
Yes.
Gruden. That is
Gruden would play great with him.
That is a drastically different Gruden. What I worry about is a couple of different things. That old school play calling style, not even just the mentality and like what you're going to bring into the locker room, but that play calling style is not going to go over well in today's and how fast today's NFL is. We already know this from his most recent coaching stint when we got to see him.
So, but I also think he's a coach that is astute. And he would make changes.
He is. No, don't get me wrong. But there's also, hey, at a certain point, coaching, just like playing and just like anything else, age eventually catches up and in different things. Don't get me wrong. He has great film breakdowns, great analysis. The whole email scandal and everything aside, there's a reason why you're not in the league anymore. There's a reason why you're not even. There's a reason why, but there's a reason why you're not even looked at for other jobs as well.
Wasn't he suing the league? Talk about getting blackballed. He was suing the league. Come on now.
Yeah, he won that. He won that. Yeah. Yeah, and he won that.
And I think that's kind of why you can open the path back for him to be a coach because of the way that ended. It wasn't like he lost his job because he was like fucking playing bad. It was like, bro, this scandal is just too much. You got to go.
Again, there was already, even before that, it's not like he was coaching great. It's not like he was winning games. It's not like the record was fucking phenomenal. It was actually really fucking bad. For the most part of John Gruden's tenure, it's usually with bad teams and with bad records, and there's some glory days in there with Tampa, but that's really the fuck for the most part. A lot of it was, understudies underneath a lot of other really great coaches and a lot of concepts and such that he stole from like other teams, not stole, but intellectually borrowed. A lot of Coach Holmgren's stuff and shit like that. Like, so I don't. when I fuck the emails, when I think about the play calling, when I think about what I last saw on film, I don't know. I don't know.
I
I
think
think that you can do better, and you should probably do better. You should probably go younger.
And like I said, I am not against that because we do have to have a process. And I think that there are some of these younger coaches that have come up, who were assistants or OCs or DCs that could be very viable. I've seen the name like Spags also thrown out there. I don't know if I'd go back to Spags. I don't know if I want a defensive coach, even though we have a lot of talent on the defense and you could do a lot with it. I think that I want someone to take Jackson Dart in this offensive world that we're living in, that the NFL has become a more quarterback friendly coach to foster his development. I think that is the most important thing right now, more than the defense, even though we have a lot of studs on that side of the ball. We need someone that could do that. And while his name value puts him at the top, I do think that we need to have an exhaustive search. And I am open to an offensive coach that can work with Jackson Dart to take that next level and where he could learn to be a productive QB without being quite as risky as Dable let him be.
Touche. Sneaky start this week, Malik Washington. You didn't hear it from me. Okay. Leashes throughout fucking like every other college coach that just got fired. Definitely none of those cups. Any final thoughts, final sentiments before we get out of here?
Man, I think we're heading into, like you said, winning season. Some of these injuries are coming back, or some of these guys are coming back from injury. I'm sitting here praying that the two guys from San Francisco come back this week. Please, baby Jesus, let Purdy come back, let Ricky Pearsall come back, and let's start that path to domination once again. Please, Ricky. Please, Ricky, play.
My closing sentiments. NFL, stop fucking with us, all right? Stop playing around with us. Give us some consistency, please. Enough parity across the league, all right? I blame betting for all of this. Best QB for the Chargers bye week. I only have Herbert rostered. What's on your waiver wire, Drew? Players stop betting. I would say if you can go and get, if you could not go and get Jacoby, if you can go and get like a Sam Darnold, I would prefer like that.
I think Sam Darnold that by this point is fucking rostered. Like if you're in a league where Sam is not rostered yet, that's kind of crazy.
I would hope so. I would hope so, but I mean, you gotta realize there's people. Everyone's league is different too. Everyone's league is different. Also, like we don't know how many teams this league is either. He didn't say that. So I mean, if you have to go like with like a Jacoby Brissett, you can. Davis Mills went all off. Davis Mills went off this last week. I probably wouldn't go with him, but I mean, holy fuck. Rodgers gives you a safe floor.
Personally,
I think the best available is Brock and Rodgers. Oh my gosh.
Yeah. I mean, I would go Brock if he's healthy, but that is still
yeah, if Brock is healthy, I would go Brock. But I mean,
yeah.
If Brock isn't healthy, we're talking right now on a Tuesday night, you need to probably pick up Rodgers.
Yeah, I mean, personally, again, this is where I go back and see if your guy Jacoby's available. I do think he's a better play, especially versus San Francisco this week, where I would fire him up, maybe. Him and McBride are on a bender, and I'm willing to ride that for a little bit.
Well, you might have to go Jacoby Brissett. He said his best available ones are those, which would mean that Brissett probably is not available if those are his best availables.
Yeah. Okay. So if you don't have Brissett, then I'm taking both.
Holy fuck!
You don't know if Brock is playing, so you can't put all that eggs in that basket. So you need that Rodgers backup. But ideally, you'd want to play Brock if he's healthy.
On a Tuesday night, it'd be Rodgers against a very poor Cincinnati defense. He's gonna fuck Cincinnati.
We hope.
Cincinnati. It's Cincinnati. Everyone gets the bone. like everyone gets a turn, bro. Other than that, cheers to me. Cheers to you. All the Rum boys and girls, what it do? Dilly dilly. We love and appreciate you. We out of here. I'll catch y'all tomorrow for AMA. AMA session mañana. Arrrr.
Get it.
Preaching on the yeah.